so the Quakers kind of got rid of me. They kind of took me off their list of people that be Quakers. And the troops and people at the time called me the Fighting Quaker. What happened. So I had mulberry plantation after the war. So Catherine and our kids moved to Georgia's mulberry plantation. And I was extremely in debt because during Valley Forge I used a lot of my own money to get supplies and stuff for all the troops. And at the time, of course, we didn't have the government to pay me back, and so it was basically my expense that happened. So when I moved to the plantation, I was very poor. In 1786, I was out visiting one of my neighbors in the hot summer sun. I had sunstroke, and the next day I died of sunstroke at the age of 43. So that's what happened to my life there. An additional story that's a little bit of a story too. On the plantation, after I died, my wife needed lots of help. So she brought in a tutor for her children, for our children. His name was Eli Whitney. And so Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin on the mulberry plantation during that time. So that's one of the famous things that happened with her. So the war, I guess I would be known as, if I was to describe myself, I guess I'd be remembered for my service for the Revolutionary War and for my friendship with President, or General and President George Washington, and my nickname of the Fighting Quaker. Oh, very good.
rendition of a poem called Sleepin' at the Foot of the Bed by Gina, Harrington.
And I am sorry that I changed the poem. Did you ever wake up some morning and think this is just going to be a wonderful day, and it weren't. I had but 50 cents by unknown. I took my girl to a fancy ball. It was a social hop. We waited till the folks got out and the music, it did stop. Then to a restaurant we went, the best one on the street. She said she wasn't hungry, but this is what she eat. A dozen raw, a plate of slaw, a chicken and a roast, some apple sass and asparagus, and soft-shelled crabs on toast. A big box stew and crackers too. Her appetite was immense. When she called for pie, I thought I'd die, for I had but 50 cents. She said she wasn't hungry and didn't care to eat, but I've got money in my clothes that to bet she can't be beat. She took it in so cozy. She had an awful tank. She said she wasn't thirsty, but this is what she drank. A whiskey skin, a glass of gin, which made me shake with fear. A ginger pop with rum on top. A schooner then of beer. A glass of ale, a gin cocktail. She should have had more sense. When she called for more, I fell on the floor, for I had but 50 cents. Of course, I wasn't hungry and didn't care to eat, expecting every moment to be kicked into the street. She said she'd fetch her family around, and some night we'd have fun. When I gave the man the 50 cents, this is what he done. He tore my clothes, he smashed my nose, he rearranged my jaw, he gave me a prize of a pair of black eyes and swept me on the floor. He took me where my pants hung loose and threw me over the fence. Take my advice, don't try it twice if you've got but 50 cents.
5 years ago, in 2018, the Courthouse 100 Committee, which planned the centennial celebration of our courthouse a year earlier, organized another commemorative event where this vignette was presented, the 100 years of the Abraham Lincoln statue. This portrayal of the Wilsons telling their story about their gift of the statue was researched by Don Van Gilder and written by Gene Van Gilder. The script is based on an original story by E.B. Wilson himself. In the years between 1915 to 1918, there was not only great pride in Greene County in the new courthouse, there was also great anticipation for the construction of the new Lincoln Highway along the south side of the square. All of that had prompted attorney E.B. Wilson and his wife Minnie, who were community leaders in Jefferson, to decide to order and donate a statue of President Lincoln, whose leadership in the Civil War and subsequent assassination made him an enduring national hero. The statue was actually dedicated on September 22, 1918, and the Jefferson newspapers reported more than 5,000 people attended. Our narrator, Rick Morain, will now introduce you to E.B. and Minnie Wilson.
This is a look back into the lives of E.B. and Minnie Wilson, two Jefferson residents who were very giving to their community. However, they were not people who extolled all their accomplishments. E.B. Wilson was an educator, school administrator, and eventually an attorney in Jefferson. Minnie was an educator and a very popular high school principal in several communities, including Monticello, Adel, Jefferson, and Carroll. Let's look in on the Wilsons in the early summer of 1917.
Good evening, Minnie. What a lovely day for a walk. I noticed that the new courthouse is progressing nicely. It won't be long now until it's ready for use. The only work left is on the inside of the structure.
I see the grounds are coming along as well. They've even planted some young trees to replace those that were cut down in order to construct the new courthouse.
Later that evening, after retiring for the night,
You know, dear, don't you think it would be nice if there were a life-size bronze statue of Lincoln standing in front of this new courthouse?
Yes, that would be very nice.
And I thought I had. You know, if we had had a child, he or she would be about college age now. I've been doing a little investigating I did not tell you about. And I found that a life-size bronze statue of Lincoln wouldn't cost so very much more than it would take to put a boy or a girl through 4 years of college. So let's give a life-size bronze statue of Lincoln here in Jefferson.
Well, that would be more than my share. But I'd be willing to maybe go in with some other men on something like that.
Oh, you don't have to decide it right now. Just be thinking about it and take your time making up your mind.
Minnie knew her husband very well because the more he thought about the idea, the more he liked it. E.B. went to Grand Junction to see his banker friend, Tom Watts.
I went over to Grand Junction today, and I explained your idea to Tom Watts. And he asked, if we go ahead with that, would you be willing to buy back a couple of mortgages I've been buying from you the last couple of years? He said, yeah, he would.
Well, that is just wonderful to hear, dear.
Mrs. Wilson's idea was taking shape slowly with her husband, E.B. His next contact was Paul Stillman, editor of the Jefferson Bee.
I went to see Paul Stillman today and asked him to sit in with me at the County Board of Supervisors to find out if the county would be willing to furnish a base for the statue.
Oh, I am sure the supervisors will be supportive of this fine gift and will be willing to supply a base for the statue.
The supervisors agreed to supply the base for the statue. The next step was to contact Bureau Brothers in Philadelphia via mail. The company Mrs. Wilson found had produced other Lincoln statues. Several questions remained. What would be the cost? How long would it take to make, and would they take Liberty bonds as a down payment? Lastly, would they furnish the Wilsons the names of some boards or commissions whom they had supplied with bronze statuary? And a letter from Bureau Brothers arrived a few weeks later.
A letter arrived today from the Bureau Brothers. Here it is, dear.
But it says their company has supplied statues for the National Cemetery Commission at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Also the Shiloh Battlefield Park Commission. Goes on to say the Bureau Brothers have furnished more bronze statuary at such places than any other similar concerns in the United States. They continue with, we make a statue for you of Lincoln. It would be a standard bronze of the same material and workmanship as the bronze statuary in the national cemeteries or battlefield parks.
Well, wonderful. They are the company we shall go with then. They are the ones for us. Let's send them the bonds and give them the go-ahead.
Oh, and I heard back from the supervisors today that they've begun to arrange for a base of pink granite from Pipestone, Minnesota.
Unfortunately, World War I interfered with the acquisition of the stone base for the statue.